and I would like to talk to you about the future of education, meaning what is the next big step in the way we learn and gain knowledge. Now, to introduce this topic, I would like to ponder upon the current way we are educated. Now, the way we learn at schools and universities, it got us to a certain stage of gaining knowledge and trying to solve our problems in having technological advances. But it has serious flaws or drawbacks. Like, for example, if you want to learn a certain branch of knowledge, like physics, then you need a large number of references. And that creates a problem of having conflicting ideas and hypotheses and theories, and you end up being confused. Also, because we don't know the right answer from the start, we go into something called trial-error technique, meaning you try something, it might work, it might not work, then you try again. And it is so time-consuming and consuming resources also. And it's taking us a very long time to attempt to solve our problems, like curing diseases, for example. And it's mainly based on memorization. So the student becomes like a walking library, but his or her ability to practice this knowledge in real life situations is very weak. Okay, so the question now, is there a better way, or are we stuck with the way we learn at schools and universities? Now the answer is that there is a new, better way to learn, and what I'm going to present now, which I strongly believe to be the next big step in education. Now this method, or this proposed new way of learning, is taken completely from the last revelation of Allah God to people, the Quran. And it's based on 3 easy principles. The first one we can learn from pondering upon the first 3 verses of chapter 55 of the Quran. I'll read the Arabic text and then give the translation. So the Arabic text, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ar-Rahman, Allama al-Quran, Khalaqa al-Insan. The translation being, the most beneficent has taught the Quran, He created man. So we see here that Allah links the teaching of the Quran to the creation of man. So the reason why. So the question why. The answer is that in other places of the Quran, Allah describes His creation, a process of assembly, that we are assembled together. So you can think about yourself like a product which is assembled. Now, the reason why Allah links the teaching of the Quran with the creation of man is that any product needs a user's manual or instruction manual. So Allah is teaching you this linking is that the Quran is your user's manual, your instruction manual. And as is the case with any good user's manual, it should contain the solution to the problems that a product might face. So the first kind of principle of this new way of learning is that you don't have many references, you have only one. So the Quran would be your reference to learn any branch of knowledge: physics, chemistry, engineering, psychology, sociology, everything. The second and third principles of this new proposed method of learning we can find by pondering upon verse number 21 of chapter 59 of the Quran, which reads the ending words, وَتِلْكَ الْأَمْثَالُ نَضْرِبُهَا لِلنَّاسِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. In English, such are the examples that God puts forward to people that they may think. So the second principle is that we want to teach by examples. The Quran teaches by examples. No time for lengthy theories and hypotheses and spending years and years in university or school learning theories. And the last principle, Allah says that they may think. This technique is based on thinking, no memorization. Okay, let me demonstrate this new way of learning and solving problems by examples. And I chose here 2 examples. The first one is entitled Earthquake Resistant Structures. So, what's the problem? The problem is that with all our knowledge and the way we are educated in the schools and universities, we fail to find a reliable design for a building that can resist the forces produced during earthquakes. And as such, there is a devastating damage to cities and countries when earthquake strikes. And what happened in Japan is something that we can all relate to. And people, based on their kind of trial-error techniques and the way we are educated, they try to find solutions, like for example here, using these huge X-shaped frames to support the structure, using more and more cement and steel, meaning having thicker and thicker walls, hoping that these thicker walls would make the structure stronger and resistant to earthquakes. Now, these suggested solutions we have many problems with, like for example self-loading, meaning, let me give an example. When a person puts on weight, this extra weight will put stress, pressure on his knees even before he walks. So this is called self-loading. So when you use more and more cement and steel in the structure, meaning the weight becomes larger, the structure becomes stressed, pressurized even before the earthquake hits. So there's a risk of structural collapse due to its own weight. So in trying to create a problem, in solving a problem, you created a problem. Also, using more and more construction material, you have higher construction cost, more expensive buildings, and also consumption of earth resources, and thus an environmentally unfriendly building. The bottom line is we don't have a reliable design that can resist earthquakes. So let's go to this new way of learning, and we'll see now how we can find the solution to this problem from the Quran in a matter of minutes. Okay, the first principle, going to the Quran, this is the reference. We want to learn now civil engineering from the Quran. The second principle, learning by examples. So what example in the Quran gives us the answer to this problem? We find this in chapter 16, verse 68 of the Quran, which reads in Arabic, وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ أَنِ اتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ. In English, and your Lord inspired the bees, saying, take your habitations in the mountains, in the trees, and in what they erect. So here we have the example of bees and their habitation. Now, if the third principle, to ponder upon things, no memorization here. Now, when you look at a beehive, the habitation of the bees, you can see hundreds of bees around the hive, producing so much vibrational energies from the flapping of their wings and the movement of their body. And yet, the hive, the structure, remains stable, it doesn't crumble, it's strong, and it's lightweight, and can resist these large vibrations. These four qualities, they are the key qualities in a structure that can resist earthquakes: light, stable, strong, resisting vibrational forces. So, by pondering upon how Allah created the beehive and He designed the beehive, we can find the solution. The solution is in front of our eyes. So let's do that. Now, the basic the main feature of a beehive is the hexagonal design for the cells. A hexagon is a geometrical shape having 6 sides. So we see that Allah is teaching us that the best way to arrange walls and to build walls is to use them as hexagons. Okay? And one of the main features of a hexagon is the 120-degree angle between the walls. Now, to appreciate how just this kind of aspect, which is having 120 degrees angle between the walls, can contribute to a structure being stable, strong, light, and resistant to vibrations, let's compare this Quranic design for rooms and structures compared to what we build with our based on our learning, which is shown on the left. As you can see, the main feature in the way we design our rooms is to have a 90-degree angle between the walls. And you can think of your room at back home. So in your room you have 90 degrees, while Allah teaching us from the example to have it 120 degrees. Okay, to see the superiority of this proposed Quranic design, let's do some computer simulations. Okay, here we have 2 models. If we enter it in the computer, the one on the left is a room built on the way we build rooms, having 90 degrees angle, and the Quranic room or the proposed design for a structure is shown on the right, having 120-degree angle between the walls. Okay, then what I did is the following, is that I took the main link in the traditional rooms, let's say, as you can see on the left, these are 3 walls having a 90-degree angle between them. And on the right, we have the proposed room, or the modified room, if you will, and the main link having 120 degrees. So I applied the same force to both links, and they have the similar dimensions for the walls and material properties. For example, cement for both. The only difference between them or the main difference is the angle, 120. Then the computer can calculate certain parameters to see the response of these links. Here we have displacements. Displacements, they mean how much the walls move when an earthquake hits. Now, the one on the left, the way our rooms, it moved 34 centimeters, and it's a lot. It's the beginning of the end, basically. Imagine a concrete wall moving 34 centimeters, swaying. So it's something really bad. Now, the same force, it just moved the Quranic design we learned from the Quran in a matter of minutes, just 3.5 centimeters. So 34, movement, 3.5. You take your pick. Okay, so again, showing the superiority of the design we learned from the Quran. And as I said, it's a matter of minutes. No prerequisites, no years of university training and learning. Okay, to further highlight this point here, okay, we can see here the huge difference in displacement values. We have a 90% decrease in overall displacements in the Quranic design shown on the right compared to the way we build today. Now, to translate this kind of this value into real life applications. Now, in your house, or if you build a house having hexagonal rooms, then you will have a stable, stronger, highly resistant structure to earthquakes. Also, suppose that you need, for a traditional room having 90 degrees, you need 30 centimeters of thickness of the walls. In the Quranic design, initial calculations showed that you need only 7.5 to 10 centimeters. So in the traditional way you need 30, this one you need 10. So 1/3 to 1/4 of structural material. And that becomes cheaper to build and environmentally friendly. Okay? I want to show you now some eye candy, some animations. Here we have a room built with the traditional way on the left, and we applied forces like those produced from an earthquake high on the Richter scale, like 7 or 8 or 9, and the same force applied to a hexagonal home. See the difference between the response on the two. The one built on 90 degrees just collapsed, it's folded on itself, and the hexagonal design remained intact. It's displaced, but it's intact. Okay. So let me show you now another example on this Quranic way of learning and solving problems, which is something we can all relate to: traffic congestion and car accidents. Okay? Why is traffic congestion a problem? Firstly, it wastes so much of your precious time. Secondly, it affects your mental state, become agitated, and that affects your productivity at work. Thirdly, it, of course, accidents, injuries, and waste of human life. So, we don't have a solution for this with all our way of learning. And let's start seeing the problem. Now here we have road design, the main trend of people how design roads in 3 cities, Amman, New York, and London. And you can see the main theme here is that the angles between the roads 90 degrees. We make the angles between the roads, the main roads and the side roads, 90 degrees. Why is this a problem? Now, just a simple example, if a driver wants to go into this right-angled side road, then he needs to deaccelerate, slow down so much in order to do so. And this slowing down causes 3 problems. The cars behind him need to slow down as well, and that creates a traffic congestion. Also, accidents of this almost abrupt stopping of the car. Thirdly, it wears down the brakes and the tires and the metallic framework of the car. So what's the Quranic solution for this problem in a matter of minutes? Again, teaching by examples. The examples we find that example in chapter 27 of the Quran, verse 18, which reads, حتى إذا أتوا على واد النمل قالت نملة يا أيها النمل ادخلوا مساكنكم لا يحطمنكم سليمان وجنوده وهم لا يشعرون. صدق الله العظيم. In English, till when they came to the valley of the ants, one of the ants said, O ants, enter your dwellings, lest Solomon and his host crush you where they perceive not. So the example here is to ponder upon the ants around the colony and how they enter the colony when they perceive danger in a matter of seconds. So this is a common observation. You see ants around the colony. When they perceive someone is coming near to that colony, you see all the hundreds of ants, they disappear in a matter of seconds. So if you look inside the colony, you see that Allah inspired them to build road networks or tunneling system. Now, if there were traffic congestions and in that kind of road network, that would be impossible for the ants to enter, hundreds of ants to enter the same colony in a matter of seconds. So they don't have traffic congestion and they don't have accidents. So if we learn how Allah inspired the ants to do this road network, and try to take these concepts into man-made kind of designs. So as you can see on the screen, the angle again between the main roads and the side roads at the ant-corner is 120, not 90. So if we have 120 degree roads, it's the same example. When a driver wants to go into the side road, he doesn't need to slow down that much. It's because a smooth kind of exit. That, of course, removes or reduces the traffic congestion behind him, lower incidence of accidents, and less wear on the car. Let's do just computer simulations to further elaborate on this point. Here we have on the left traditional roads, 90 degrees. On the right, 120 degree roads, the proposed design from the Quran. And here the computer does something called particle flow. These small vectors or small arrows, they are like particles. So the particles, you can link them to cars, to ants, to any kind of quantity which is flowing. So the one on the left, you see that there is a turbulent flow, mixed flow, meaning colliding between the particles, and that translates into accidents. Also, the speed of these kind of particles is slowing down so much to go into the side road. Again, accidents and traffic congestion. The 120 shown on the right, we have a laminar flow, smooth flow, minimum collision between the particles, minimum accidents, and we don't have a large reduction in speed for the particles to go into the side roads. So this is the proposed design. Having our roads 120 angles between them, not 90, would help so much in solving the problem of traffic congestion and car accidents.